Hey everyone, Garrett here, and in this video, I'm going to break down the biggest luxury window job that I've had to this date. I'm going to share how I actually landed this opportunity, the process of preparing and executing the job with over 6.5 hours worth of relaxing time-lapse footage, and then finally some of the amazing opportunities that have actually come from this job in particular. So make sure you stay to the end of the video. You're not going to want to miss what I have to share. Now, on that note, it is actually Thanksgiving Eve, and I wanted to express a little bit of gratitude as it's only been 5 months since I've started Stonevale Exterior Co, and I've had the opportunity to meet some amazing entrepreneurs here in Bryan College Station. I was always under the impression there wasn't much of a scene here. Turns out I was the one not really looking. But for those of you watching, we've had a chance to meet in person. I really appreciated the opportunity to get to know you. I received so much amazing support and advice and just brotherhood, particularly from my other fellow entrepreneur dudes. I just wanted to express some gratitude because it's been amazing to meet you all here in town. And with that being said, without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into the luxury window job. All right, let's get cracking. So first, I want to share how I actually landed this amazing new construction property in Traditions Country Club. The big secret here is realtors. Realtors are fantastic partners for me because we have mutually aligned incentives. Clean property sells faster, which is a better result for the homeowner, better result for the realtor. Everyone's happy. And so realtors make fantastic partners for me. They've been a big reason why I've been able to start making a name for myself in the luxury residential space. And so I actually reached out to the realtor for this property. Turns out there was an open house coming up in about 2 weeks. They needed the windows cleaned. She put me in touch with the builder, and the rest is history. And so I'm actually cleaning these beautiful skylight windows here. It's all one-story property, but these are the only windows you actually have to access from the roof. And so one of the big lessons I learned from my very first new construction window job, which if you haven't seen it yet, pause it, check it out top right, is that you want to handle the most difficult to reach windows first while your energy's high, your energy's fresh. And so as I'm moving on to this beautiful crown jewel of the property, this 6 window panel window cluster here, you want to be able to get to these windows first because these windows alone, the 6 skylights and the 6 windows here, took me about 2 hours, which was majority of the first day's work. And so as you can see, these windows have to be hand detailed. Landscaping guys having a crack at me there. But basically they have to be hand detailed because there's residue like gravel and stickers and some paint splatter and things that you can't really get off the window with like a mop and a squeegee. And so I'm up there using a blade. I'm using some quad zero steel wool. That's not going to scratch the window. Just making sure we're really getting a nice smooth surface before I do a final mop and then actually use the squeegee. And so I have a 16-foot Little Giant extendable ladder here that's come in absolutely clutch. And so I was able to get the 2 side windows, and I actually just used the telescopic pole with the squeegee to finish the job for that top center window there. And so then I put a microfiber cloth on that and then kind of get all of the additional marks. And so you can see I'm hitting it with the steel wool, another mop, and then I'm finishing with the squeegee there. But these windows were massive. It may not look like it, but they are a lot bigger up close, and I'm a pretty tall guy. I'm a little over 6 foot, and so these are some massive windows. They are definitely a lot bigger in person up close, but absolutely a pleasure to clean, very, very satisfying. And so I'm making my way through these windows here. I'm mopping, then I'm using the steel wool, and then I'm squeegeeing, and then I'm getting the edges with the detail cloth, and then I'm going on to the front of the property. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm actually flipping my squeegee. So after about 20 hours of squeegeeing, it starts to kind of get a bit corroded or a bit faded on the corners, and it starts leaving some streaks. And so all you have to do is flip the squeegee, and then you're good to go. And I was actually talking with the superintendent, I believe, for the property there, and I actually did an upsell for wiping the window frames as well because they needed that done. And so as you can see, I'm hand detailing these front windows here. Basically doing the same process of mopping it, using the blade, going in with the steel wool, and then you can't really see it from here, but there's just a ton of little paint splatters or some leftover what's the word I'm looking for, stuff they use to kind of seal the windows. And so I have to go in there, blade it off, and then I'm able to move on from there. But yeah, this opportunity here I felt really fortunate for, because it's just a really nice piece of property. It's new construction. It's on a road where they're doing a lot of other new constructions, and I just really had the opportunity to get to know the realtor pretty well for this, and the builder, which, like I mentioned earlier, has actually led to a lot more recurring jobs for this property, but also other new constructions that they're working on as well. And so that's been a big focus for me, more so as a business owner, just trying to have a handful of really strong power partners that I can really put a lot of time and energy into, do a good job for, have a quick turnaround time for, and then really just work those for the first few months of my business here. And it's been an amazing opportunity to work with the builders for this property, and so I feel very fortunate for that. But yeah, I'm going through now here with these front windows. You see I have the telescopic pole here, and that helped me get those top windows as well. Basically going at it, detailing it here, and for the actual time estimate on this job, I was expecting I'd be able to get to the exterior and interior, or at least start the interior the first day, but it turns out the exterior took me the full day. Typically with new construction, some of them will leave like the original tape that comes on the window, but some will also take it off early, meaning a lot more debris can actually get onto it. And this was kind of the case for that one. And so just a lot of time blading, detailing, but these windows, massive, beautiful windows here. And I'll kind of talk about how I actually quoted this job as well. And so when it comes to like normal sized homes, it's pretty easy to quote a flat rate per window. So when I say per window, it's like the top window and the bottom section that usually opens. But when you start working with luxury properties, they have a lot of multi-paned window sections, and it makes it very difficult to charge by the window, because you're essentially, you can see here, this is, 16 windows for one section. So if I were to just charge this as one window, or even 4 windows, I'd be putting in a lot more time, a lot more energy to get these windows really looking fresh, and it wouldn't really give me a lot of time to do the job right if I had to kind of quote it by the window, if that makes sense. And so in this case, me and my wife and daughter actually showed up. She super fortunate, she brought me lunch, but I essentially quoted by the panes for this job, and it made it a lot more what's the word I'm looking for? Profitable, if you will, I suppose. And so I'm actually doing the interior now. Had to get those skylights from the inside. I've got a buddy, his name is Roberto. We play tennis together. He's actually a business owner himself, and he offered to come help out with the first few jobs. And so he came in really clutch, helping support the ladder in the beginning, just making sure things are going smooth. There's no issues. We have a nice cloth, so it's not damaging the wall or anything. Essentially, I'm pulling the sticker off, hand detailing each one of those windows, having them looking nice, crystal clear, ready to go, so we don't have to come back to them later and worry about them when we get to the rest of the windows on the inside of the house. And so going through, ladder work is always a very interesting thing. You have to pull some pretty impressive angles sometimes, but fortunately this was pretty simple, just getting up there, making sure it was supported, and getting these windows taken care of. And so after this, we're going to go ahead and move on to the rest of the windows on the inside. Actually quite a bit of debris as well from painting and from other individuals kind of doing work on the inside. And as you can see, I'm kind of showing him the ropes on window cleaning. Previously, he'd actually come over to my apartment, and I kind of showed him around how to actually use the squeegee and the mop and all that good stuff. And so I'm very fortunate to have about 3 part-time employees that I'm training now, and some have more availability than others. And so it's just really nice to be able to work with them. And one of my main goals, at least, I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I really want to be connected with other men that are disciplined, integral. They want to grow, they want to learn, they're hungry. And this business has really given me that opportunity so far. So I'm feeling very fortunate on the local networking side of things when it comes to running a business like this. And so I've been very grateful for that. And so I'm actually kind of going over some of the windows again, as they had kind of gotten sprayed with water. So for those front windows, they gotten sprayed, but you can see directly through these windows is a big pane kind of in the back section we'll hit later. That window is actually getting a lot of condensation on it because we came back that same day and I was like, or the next day actually, and I was like, who just like splashed a bucket of water on this window? Turns out some of the windows actually had some condensation, and so I actually had to come back a few times to get those windows before open houses and such, as well as just touching everything else up. And so that was some really nice opportunity for me to get more time on the job, of course generate some more revenue, and also help the realtor and the builder have the property looking fresh for events they have coming up. And so we're tag teaming this window here. It has been such a huge help to have someone at least helping out. When I first started, I was like, okay, he'll just kind of hold the ladder and then be able to help with some windows. But it's just been an absolute time saver, and also it's nice to kind of have that time to get a chat with them and get to know them, and kind of develop your employees, if you will. And so that's been also a pleasure. And so I have a nice inside shot. I'm kind of hand detailing some of these spots again. Like I said, some of them actually got some condensation, and then you're always going to miss a few pieces here and there. So I'm just making sure these windows are just looking absolutely spotless. And so going through, touching them up, especially for windows like this, like these are kind of the main crown jewel of this property. And so making sure they're just especially clear, looking really, really good is really important for that. And so those windows I'm on now are kind of the ones I was talking about that also had some condensation. And so I just came through and did another pass on most of the windows there, and then Roberta's on the inside getting those windows in that section there. But you can see this property is just a beautiful outdoor like back section. They even had included some plans for like a pool and like patio build out as well, and so that was really, really cool. And so we actually made our way around the rest of the property, and we're actually doing a pressure wash now on this driveway. Now, it's usually really risky to pressure wash brand new concrete. This concrete is probably about 3 to 4 weeks old at this point. You risk actually kind of ripping up some of the cream unless you know what you're doing. And so what I actually did is I had to turn the PSI way down to about 1500. And instead of doing straight passes, you can see I'm actually doing circular motions there, and I'm always keeping the pressure washer moving. And so we went ahead and hit that driveway, got the windows, and here's the finished result. All right, so I really hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. Truthfully, these videos do take quite a bit of time, from setting up the camera to actually film, to transferring the footage from my phone, to putting it all into CapCut, to editing it, to voicing it over. It's taking quite a lot of effort, but I really do enjoy the process, and I hope you enjoy the end result. And if you do, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe, like, leave a comment, share it with your friends. I'm really just trying to share the process of growing a business from scratch. And like I said, I felt very, very fortunate from some of the opportunities that have been coming to me and the people that I've been meeting. And so it feels like kind of following more of my intuition and just kind of what's more natural has, for me at least, been leading to a lot more enjoyment in the life that I've been living, aside from just staring behind the screen in previous businesses. And so I'm going to do my best to try and capture some more footage to start putting these out more consistently. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and see you in the next one. Take care.